Now, for more analysis on the IEC's bid to keep Zuma from contesting upcoming elections matter, we're joined by political analyst Dr. Dale Mckenley. Dr. Mckenley, thank you so much for joining us this evening on News at Prime. You just heard that news clip we just played. That was Tselane saying he's quite surprised by the move by the IEC to challenge this, and in fact, they got it all wrong. What are your thoughts? Should the IEC have just accepted the ruling of the Electoral Court, or is its decision to seek clarity valid?
I think it's valid. I think, you know, there's both sides to this. I mean, there's some legal experts that will argue their interpretation of that section of the Constitution is clear. As Tselane said, that in terms of, you know, Parliament is the power here and the IEC doesn't have this power. There are others that are saying, yes, they do. So, I mean, the good thing in some ways about us still as a young democracy is that we're still interpreting our Constitution. And I don't think there's anything wrong in seeking that clarity and seeking that interpretation. This notion that, for example, the Electoral Court has all the answers, or that simply because we must wait for their decision and then that decision must be taken at face value. We know that there's appeals, including, by the way, from the ex-president himself. He has used the courts for the last 15 years to make appeal after appeal after appeal after appeal for all sorts of decisions. So there shouldn't be complaints in the context of this, of using our court system to seek clarity. Whether or not the eventual decision of the Constitutional Court is in favor of the IEC or is in favor of the MK party in terms of Zuma being able to stand for the MK party is neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. I think the issue here is constitutional clarity, and the Constitutional Court is the place for that clarity.
Do you recall other occasions where the IEC took to the courts following the Electoral Court ruling? I mean, as you're mentioning that, you're saying that, look, it's not the be-all and end-all, as the former president has exhausted the court systems before, so can an entity such as the IEC as well. Is this something, though, untoward for the IEC?
Well, look, it certainly creates some controversy, that's for sure. But, I mean, there's been controversy from the beginning of the formation of the MK party in terms of, first of all, its name and the ANC's attempt to try to do that, the registration with the IEC, which again was an issue, and now the issue of the ex-president's criminal record in the case of his sentencing. So, look, I mean, the IEC, the thing is the IEC is caught between a rock and a hard place, if you think about it. They are entrusted as the independent entity to oversee free and fair elections. Now, political parties are quick to jump on a very critical bandwagon anytime they see anything that they think is going to basically not be free and fair. So they, you know, whether it's violence issues, whether it's about how many polling stations you have, you see all of these things coming to the IEC. And if they're going to, in this case, not be caught out by saying, well, we're going to just accept, in this case, a ruling of the Electoral Court, I think it's in their right to seek that clarity. There's going to be controversy. There's going to be debate. That's the nature of our democracy. People shouldn't be afraid of these things and shouldn't impute political implications to them simply because then what that does is it begins to bring into people's minds the question of the integrity of the IEC. I don't think this involves anything about the integrity of the IEC in our elections. I think it involves an interpretation that needs to be made. Whatever that decision is, then we accept that and we move forward.
Speaking of the politics of it, you know, the IEC has said it's not playing into politics with the Electoral Court having had ruled this way, and that, you know, this is something that they just want to seek clarity about. But then when we look at the issues at play here, that the IEC has had issues with this newly formed MK party in terms of its name, it's dealt with those complaints, with the logo as well, as you mentioned, and now to be taking it to the Apex Court to ensure that it perhaps doesn't appear on the ballot. Some may think that, you know, it is political. Why fight tooth and nail not to have it there? Leave it there. That's what the Electoral Court has decided, and let South Africans decide who they want to vote for, and they can reject or embrace it.
Yeah, look, I think we've already gone past the point of the MK contesting the elections. That's a done deal. So they're going to contest the elections. The question here is not about the MK party contesting the elections. It's about the ex-president Zuma being on the ticket, number one on their list, and therefore being elected to parliament potentially if they get those votes. So this is a separate matter, I think. And in this case, it doesn't, my interpretation of this, and I think many others would be, this is not simply a question of the ex-president. This is a question for going forward for everybody. We have many, many people in the ANC itself who are facing or are criminal charges, who might have been sentenced, where this could apply. Other parties in a similar vein. So this is not simply a personal issue about, yes, in this case, it deals with him right at this very moment, and because of the charged atmosphere of our elections, this is going to create some tension and create controversy, but it's something going forward which we all need to be clear about, because it's going to come up again, no doubt, whether it's MK or it's the ANC or another party. And I think that's right, and it's the way we should operate as a democracy. We have our three systems. The courts are one of those systems. We can't just pick and choose what we want the courts to deal with, whether we like it or not. So I think in this case, let this happen, let it play itself out. Whatever the decision is, then it must be respected and accepted.
Respected and accepted indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on this Friday evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insights as well. That's Dr. Dale Mckenley, who is a political analyst.